Today we're on conversation with Marius Boonzaier, a motoring journalist, chatting about his passion for cars and how it came to be. We share some rather unfavorable experiences and stories regarding cars and enlighten you in the world of new cars, such as the T50 by Gordon Murray. This is On the Overrun.
You have made it to our 4th episode. Now this, like we said, our 3rd episode was a stretch. But getting a guest on, like, leaps and bounds. Let me tell you, we have moved up in the world.
The last time I did hurdles was in primary school, but I think I just did it again for this now. So.
You'll not see it, but we actually have a tripod for our camera.
Yeah,
and
we're not using a heater anymore.
Yeah, we actually use the heater with books for our camera. So, yeah. I mean, the amount of people who are going to watch the 4th episode will probably range between 3 and 4 people, excluding my mother. So, but yeah, this is our first episode with a guest on, and we are very excited. We'll introduce him now. But yeah, as I said, welcome to our 4th episode. This is On the Overrun. You have made it. Don't skip this podcast. Firstly, Luke, our co-host, as always, very much welcome.
Thank you, Martin.
Marius Boonzaier, welcome. Nice having you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
It's happy to have you. We'll introduce you now. First, I want to go through the admin, I just want to chat about, some people asked me a question this week, and they were like, where do I get the time to listen to a podcast? Because it is an hour long, and I mean, majority of people feel like they don't have an hour, but let me give you some tips and advice on where and how you can go about listening to this podcast. So firstly, when you drive home or you drive to work, when you train or exercise, the hour between your study breaks, because you don't really study, I know it, students. Before you go to sleep, I know I procrastinate way too much. So before you go to sleep, this can definitely keep your mind off anything that is worth thinking about. So there is quite a few options for you listening to a podcast. There is no excuse for you not listening to our podcast. And this sounds very forceful, but I promise you it's only to get some listeners on. But yeah, you are watching us on YouTube. You can see Luke's majestic beard. It still looks good. You can email us at overrunbrand@gmail.com for any inquiries, reviews, questions. If you'd like to know where Luke buys his beard oil, you can also ask for that. You can serious inquiries only if you'd like to buy my mother's 2006 Polo. It is not for sale, but if we have a good enough offer, that would be amazing. We really like a new car. That would be awesome.
It's got -4 kilowatts, eh?
-4 kilowatts, just as much as a Fiat Panda. But anyway, nothing against the Fiat Panda.
We'll get there.
Probably a good car.
Don't worry, we'll get there. Just give it some time.
Yeah, so follow us on social media. We are on Instagram. The handles and tags are down below. Twitter, Facebook, you can find us. LinkedIn too. No, we are not on TikTok. We don't know what to do on TikTok. So
I don't know. It's banned in the States now, so there's no point.
We aren't cultured enough to go into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us go to more important things. We'd like to welcome our guest, as I said, Marius Boonzaier. He is a car journalist. So I'm not going to explain who he is. He can explain for himself. So Marius, welcome. Can you explain to us who you are? What do you do? Why do you do what you do? And why are we jealous at your job?
Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all, and I mean, that beard is very majestic.
I agree.
I feel ashamed that I've shaven mine off. But yeah, you can start Overrun beard oil.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Motor oil scented Overrun beard oil.
Motor oil for you.
What I'll do is I'll just take my brother's old, he's got an old 1966 Land Rover. I'll just put a bucket underneath that and get all the oil.
This is any diesel mechanic's
dream. Yeah, I mean, it's the dream. You just take the old Land Rover oil and you just put it into little beard oil containers. So we've got a business. Great, we'll start
amazing.
that. Thank you very much. I'll give you some credit for that. Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it.
I'll take 50%.
Okay, that's perfect. We'll sort it out.
No, thanks for having me on. It's great being here. I've been listening to the podcast, following it, and I've been enjoying it a lot. Martin, as you said, I mean, when I listen to it, most of the time it's while I'm driving or busy working, and I have found it very enjoyable. So it's great being here. I'm a motoring journalist. Well, I try to be at least. No, I'm just joking.
Young and upcoming.
For Car Magazine. And it's an absolute blast. But I mean, I know that you just mentioned that, yes, you're jealous and all of that. But And yes, there might be some cars, that we drive that people might get jealous about, but we also drive, anything. Like anything from a Suzuki Espresso, which is a great car,
Yes.
to a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. So it's a
Martin's heart is beating very fast now.
It's very... and I know you like BMW. Yeah. To a BMW something.
Anything, but all the... exactly, I know.
No, to a M3 or whatever.
See, even the car journalist doesn't really know his BMWs. He just doesn't care about his BMWs.
I do like BMW.
Okay.
I do like BMW.
They do make good cars these days.
Yeah, they make very good cars.
And the new range looks stunning.
It does.
8 Series. Like, I really am a fan.
X7 was a bit extreme, but we're turning it down a bit now.
Yeah, see, but that grill.
Yeah, it looks like the security gates in front of our house or something.
What do you think about the grill of the... And I know that's been spoken about a lot, but the grill of the new 4 Series.
Oh, I've seen that. Have you seen the new 4 Series? Yeah, the grill basically touches the ground and then extends further than the bonnet of the car. I think it I don't know. It looks a bit weird. It looks like it has these two slashing tooth basically sticking
like a
out.
Tooth.
Yeah,
or something with it, just this.
And the funny thing about it is there'll probably be a diesel version. So
yeah, well, that same thing.
They'll
just fill it up with some little plastic covering.
That just disqualifies whatever aggressive look it's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how did you become a car journalist? Was this your dream? Was this something you would have wanted to do your whole life?
I was studying journalism at Stellenbosch University, and the previous editor of Car Magazine came to speak to us about motoring journalism. And at that point, I was writing all my essays and assignments in Afrikaans. And I've read Car Magazine since I was, I think, 9 years old. So I grew up with it. I love the mag. I love cars, of course. And that inspired me because the way he described the mag is how traditional it is. In the sense it still has the traditional journalistic values. Yeah. And at first, before that, I thought that maybe I should go into hard news and all of that. And no, I can't do murders and robberies, and it's just not for me. And I was lucky enough to start working at Car, which, I love print. And it's a magazine. We have the website as well, lovely website, and it's been great. Speaking about the BMWs, the experiences we have. I got to drive the 530 MLE that BMW South Africa restored around.
Yes, so that must have been something
around Kailami, which I think it's the oldest car I've driven. I think it's nearly twice my age. Nearly.
No. Have you never driven a Toyota Corolla? Have you never driven the 1994 Toyota Corolla? That is... age, it's not a thing about age, it's more about maturity. You see, that's why that car will always be, a classic. But anyway, it's nothing on the 530.
Just don't.
Sorry, I had to bring it back home. For those watching not in South Africa, the treasure piece of South African car history is the Toyota Corolla or the Taz or the Conquest, That car
anything
just doesn't
Toyota,
die.
I would say, because you can just go to any guy in Brackenfell and say, fix me up. And then it's sorted, so I think that's why.
It might not work later on.
It might not work
might
later
on.
It's
nitrous injection, but anyway.
Nitrous injected Toyota Corolla.
Just imagine. But Marius, how does a typical month look like at Car Magazine? Just before you have to sign off for the next... month's edition, how does a typical month look like? Because I would dream of having that kind of time to spend with cars and stuff. So
summed up, testing and then writing the tests, and basically going from there to designing the pages, all of that. Which we have an odd team that they do that. And then one of my favorite things, apart from driving the cars and writing, proofreading. So, and then basically sign off. And I mean, that's in a very condensed, like that's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It does, or it can get quite hectic, but it's great. There's a couple of days where you get to just chill a bit, and then we start again, and I won't say we do it all over because each time is different. So
what would you say is what you can go ahead?
No, sorry, I just want to say, I suppose it's never the same because you can't predict exactly what's going to happen as well. So you always like.
I mean, especially with COVID-19, that the past couple of months we had to work from home, which has been lovely because I didn't have to sit in traffic on the N2 every day.
I remember, like you said the last time, you said you hate traffic. It's just the worst.
I mean, I love driving, but
sitting is not driving.
In traffic, that's not driving at all.
It's not,
give me a good car and a mountain pass and
never see me again.
That's driving. But so it has been a bit more difficult with that, but with everything returning to normal now, things has picked up.
So how did like testing of cars work during COVID-19? Well, especially the hard lockdown period. Did you test any cars?
Someone comes
all?
in front of his house and just handbrakes and chucks the keys over the fence.
Oh
and runs away.
And it's sanitized.
Remember to sanitize, which was a bottle of sunlight liquid or something.
Stay 2 meters away.
Luckily, because of course, because the mag comes out at a certain stage, we work on it beforehand. So the mags that came out during each month, some of the cars have been tested beforehand. So luckily that has been done. And then when lockdown lifted a bit, then we did get the chance to test again.
Just to clarify,
out quite well.
The mags Marius are talking about are not the 17-inch you put up somewhere next to the road on the N1. It's the magazines.
It's not. The mags are not the 22-inch you put on a Brabus G-Class.
Exactly. For our South African-speaking people, it's a magazine.
If you were to compare your best and worst test driving experiences, I think that'll be quite cool to hear.
Of course, it's very subjective, and I want to make it as objective, or try and make it as objective by thinking back of what we scored, but that's gonna take it off of me, so I shouldn't do that really. No, I'm just joking. The best car I've driven so far, there's a few, and they don't compare to one another really. Like for example, the new 3 Series. Every model we've tested in the range so far has been exquisite. It's a very, very good sedan, and that does make me wonder why people opt for crossovers the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Then the RS4 is a phenomenal car, the S6, and then the 911 GT3 RS.
Of course.
I was about to say that would probably be the pinnacle of.
Yeah.
That was something completely different. Of course, there's a couple of other cars that's really good as well. Which I can't recall at the moment, because there's quite a lot of cars we test.
Yes.
Some of the cars that, let me put it this way, that might need some work on is I'll say the Quid.
Okay.
They sell bucket loads.
Yeah, it's one of those you see so everywhere.
Many. There's so many on the roads.
The Reynolds Quid, for those who are wondering.
I think mostly because, it does have ABS now and dual airbags and everything, but still it lags behind. Like for example, the Espresso and even the
comparing it to other things in its league, it's not there yet.
The Suzuki Swift Sport is a great car as well. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
A little pocket rocket.
So, and the Honda i3N. I love that car.
What an experience.
I love that car.
Sure.
It's expensive, and it's not the most powerful compared to, let's say, the Renault RS or the Golf R so, which price-wise compares with it. But it's such a special car.
I think
Hyundai. It's really a special car.
I think Hyundai really tried to up the ante when it comes to driver involvement in that car? Because I know you have a button you can for auto blipping. Basically, yeah. So that's just one of the things in that car that they really said we want to make this as driver focused as we can. You know, as analog as modern cars allow it to be. I think they only bring it out in manual, if I'm correct.
Yeah, there are plans to bring it out with I think an 8-speed dual clutch.
Dual clutch.
Yeah,
Pedals.
I think so. But yeah, I mean that remains to be seen. I mean, I don't think it has like i30N with a DCT has been launched yet.
Yeah.
But I mean the gearbox and the rev matching and everything. It's the same as what's the car? The Mustang Bullet.
See, what an experience that should
with rev matching and all of that. Which, I mean, it's not necessarily the best car, but it's very special. And I think how special a car is. I mean, there's no objective way in which to determine how special a car is because it's subjective. And unfortunately so, because there's cars that's really, really, really good, but it's not as special. And I mean, I think that's where a buyer would look and know, but this makes me feel more special, and they'll buy that. So.
Yeah, I suppose it's all got to do with personal preference and what you like in a car and what you need. Yeah,
something that will be very cool for many people to hear. Well, it's always cool for people to explain how their passion started. But how did your passion for cars come to be? Because mine started with my dad. His started with his dad and his BMW. Shame. But anyway, how did your passion for cars come to
leave? I'll leave it to
so
I think that's quite a difficult question because I think it started with the magazine. When I first discovered it, because my stepfather used to buy them, and that's where I got them. And I saw them for the first time, and I was looking through it. I'm like, this is so cool. And I think even before that, I mean, as a very young kid, having little toy cars. I think it was just
matchboxes and Hot Wheels.
A natural thing, really. And then sitting there and reading up on all the cars and looking at everything. So I would most likely attribute it to just something natural, really. And then because, I mean, my parents used to have it's my grandparents now, W124 E220 manual, which is still in pristine condition.
Yes. I mean,
still has the
sheeple
seat covers, everything. I think it has like 140,000 Ks on the clock.
That's also not a lot.
So it's...
You think it'd have a lot more?
So it's perfect. So I really hope to inherit that car one day.
Of course.
And then... So it's not like I really grew up around cars. And then my father, he bought a second-hand E30 3 Series. But the aircon gave out. We were driving one day, and then the air vents, they came like the dry ice you see on the stage that came through. But so I would say most likely it was just a natural thing.
Okay.
And then helped on by the mag and then all of that.
Fueling the passion.
That's awesome.
I suppose that's what we do. We want to get people who have a passion for cars and just get them together.
And even though, like, as you heard, like car journalists, some of their passion for cars only start much later in their life, and they only start appreciating and seeing like the value, in cars a bit later. But also, I think, well, as he explained now, a large part of your passion for cars often comes from the community. So even though the community is like 3 people, it's still that community that spurs on the passion, which is very cool. I remember my dad, he worked for Mercedes for quite some time. So he also, every month, very religiously bought Car Mag and read it just to, get some information for the necessary cars that he has to like sort of explain to people and sell to them. And I mean, I remember when I was very young, like I could barely talk, and I was reading through car mag. So I mean, that's part of how my
I think actually
fashion
the
was
first
started.
car mag that I got was when you gave me one. You made this present box setup thing with a bottle of wine and something else, and then in that box was a car magazine as well.
Did I also give you like 2 small cars?
I think so. Yeah, you gave me 2 little model cars as well. So thank you, Martin.
Yeah, it's
for
a
that.
You still
pleasure.
have the wine though.
No.
The wine was very average.
That's a fairly
that's a
high-priced commodity.
I was
at
about
the
to say
moment.
it's a rare commodity now. I mean, I can trade gold with it probably. At this
Marius,
point.
one thing you don't know about Luke is that he's actually very much a wine lover, but not just a lover. Like if you go climb under
I
his
breathe,
bed,
I snort, I inhale, I inject.
There
everything.
is this massive self-built cupboard of wine just being stored, and you pick one up. Oh, 1996 Merlot. It's that kind of
So
caliber
passion for
of
cars. How people just come drop cars at your house. They come drop wine at my house. in a
yes.
sense.
So
But we're balancing it out with cars a bit,
yes, maybe
Don't
later
drink
on
and
we can
drive, kids.
even have a bit of a wine tasting as we talk about cars.
A wine and
Yes.
diesel oil pairing.
But we first have to we first have to improve on our trade much more.
Smell the wine.
Oh, but
It would be very interesting
it'll
actually.
mix so well with your beard oil. Yeah.
Oh my!
This is
We've just
something
figured this out,
That
guys.
you have to
This is
stop.
Give us 2 weeks. Just give us 2 weeks.
This is more of
okay?
a business meeting than anything
Yeah, I
else.
was about to say propositions.
Yeah. But Marius, I don't know if you have any other like very interesting car stories, like memorable moments you'd like to share.
Any car crashes?
Oh.
One, but it wasn't my fault.
Oh. Yeah. Same.
And then there was one time but that was long ago. I used to work at the radio station in Stellenbosch, and I was busy with my training. Worked very late.
Yeah.
Worked very long hours. On my way back to my parents' house, I fell asleep behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
Not your fault.
luckily I was fine. Luckily. I mean, the car, the 180 and
You went
all
some
of that.
Tokyo drift on the road. then.
Yeah, with the front
Tokyo
wheel
flip.
drive Peugeot 207.
Oh really?
Oh no!
The French cars.
So, but yeah, I mean the car was in one piece. I was in one piece.
Yeah.
So everything was fine. Luckily,
Yo, that's
a
amazing.
traffic officer was nearby. He came past and he checked everything
No,
okay. And he followed me home
Yeah,
just to
make
check
sure, yeah.
everything is fine. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Shout out to the traffic cop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Serving the nation.
Yeah. I actually had a similar experience as well. I came back, went home as well, and I think it was about 5:15 in the morning, and I also fell asleep. But luckily on a straight, down on the R44, and I was struggling to stay awake, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I was with 2 wheels still going at like 80 km an hour, 2 wheels on the dirt, on the shoulder, on the road, and 2 wheels on the. And then I
And then you
stopped.
drifted.
No. I just kept in a straight line, and I corrected it when I woke up again. It was for a short second. It was about like 5 seconds. But it was still enough to let me sway off. And I stopped the car, got out. I did jumping jacks, and I just put on some heavy rock metal and just
Just to get
tried
you
to
awake.
keep myself, because I had about like 2 kilometers still to go. I was very close.
Yeah.
Open the window, just everything, noise. Out your eyes and stuff. So I know the feeling. It's not a...
Yeah,
It's-
after that, and I mean, even climbing into a car, after
Just a
long
little bit,
day or
yeah.
anything, just giving it a moment, knowing,
Yeah.
okay, but listen, I don't feel as well. I'll just give it some time before I get behind the wheel. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, every time you climb behind the wheel, especially on our roads,
Yeah.
it
It's
is very
very dangerous.
dangerous. And it's not just you that you have to look out for. You have to look out for everybody else on the road.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, it's a big thing to think about. But
And a lot of modern cars also have the technology that actually, if you fall asleep at the wheel, they can detect it, and then they'll vibrate steering wheel or let you know, hey, listen, you're falling asleep.
yeah.
But I mean, even if cars are so, modernized and have the necessary technology to keep you awake, like still don't take the chance, even if you're a bit tired. Like, especially in South Africa, you shouldn't just think for yourself, as
I know
Marius
it's a
said.
trend to drive on sidewalks and stuff, but don't do it when you're
Yeah,
asleep.
please, not
Just
yet.
don't.
Yeah, I remember the only sort of car accident I was in involved. Well, yeah, I wasn't even fully seated in the car, but what happened was, I was driving with a friend. I know. I know.
He was just biting down onto the roof.
I was actually, skateboarding and just, hooked a rope against the car. Oh, no, I'm joking.
Okay.
I wasn't that. So it involved me and a friend of mine, and we were driving, and we basically 45 degrees parked behind someone's car. But this was in their driveway, and we dropped the girl off, and she asked me, the girl was driving, she asked me, would you like to drive back? Because it was dark, and it was raining also, and she was like, okay, would you rather like to drive back? So the car was a 2007 Honda Civic automatic. So what happened was, she pulled up the handbrake, but still the car was in drive. So we switched seats, I walked around, and she's very short, and the seat is very far forward. So what happened was, I climbed into the car with my left leg, and yes, my left leg, and what happened was, I couldn't really
Pedal to
fit.
the metal.
I couldn't fit. I couldn't fit between the seat and the steering wheel. So my left foot hit the throttle pedal, but I didn't realize it because the throttle pedal is so light, and the car just suddenly started.
Nice, man.
Yes, that the car. It's also front wheel drive, so I saw it. Yeah, I was like, yes, so this is insane. I always wanted to do this.
How to make an entrance.
Yeah, and anyway, so I was absolutely ramming the throttle, but I didn't realize it. I just heard the car. Well, the car was slightly creeping forward, and the engine was blaring, but I still didn't realize I was stepping on the throttle pedal because it was so light, and the car started moving forward, and it actually, the front crashed into the front of the car.
Wow.
But what happened was, I still pushed on the throttle pedal. I didn't stop because I still didn't realize, and then the door and the car actually started pushing into me, and I really almost couldn't breathe. And then I realized, flip, I was pressing the throttle, and anyway, alarms went off, and I was like, I sort of started, in my shortness of breath, started screaming to my friend, put the car in reverse, because I couldn't climb out in any way. I was literally stuck. And anyway, she was trying to pull me out. I'm like, no, this is not going to work. Put the car in reverse. Anyway, went around, she put the car in reverse, rammed it out.
Martin, I think you just lost your letter of recommendation from Marius for Carmack, because after that now, I hope no one from Carmack is watching this now.
The same, I mean, obviously you're telling this story, I remembered now, when I was learning to drive.
Oh, that's tough.
It was raining as well, sitting in the car, and I was parked behind the garage door. My mom then, she had a 323.
I know where this is going.
And so the car, it was one of the
it's not your fault. It wasn't your fault.
It was my fault. It was one of the, it was days after I started learning to drive.
Yeah.
And I've driven on my parents' farm a couple of times in the bakkie, and that's fairly different as well. Okay, then I was a bit younger, but but now I'm actually learning, and I'm sitting there behind the garage door, and luckily it wasn't very fast, but as I let the handbrake go, the car started rolling a bit. So I'm like, okay, I have to press on the brake.
Wrong pedal.
So I went through the garage door, not that fast, luckily.
Yeah, but just
and
enough to scratch some
fine,
paint.
But some paint was scratched.
And a BM is like taking a can of baked beans and chucking out a wall. It won't explode. It'll just have a few scratches.
Surely I can polish that off. I'm like, probably won't happen.
I was thinking of it now with the Nissan. I had an experience where it was my first time driving, and my mom was next to me in the car, and we came here past Ekerstad Mall at the circle there. And the dog was also in the car. We have this little Jack Russell, but he's just an energy ball, so he's running all across the place. And he jumped onto my lap and this arm he pinned against the door with his body because he was trying to get out the window. And then I had to try and turn into the circle, and I couldn't. And then my mom took the dog away, and in the thing of taking the dog away, she removed my hand from the gear lever. Ooh. So then I lost control for a bit, and I didn't have my hand on the gear lever, and I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then the Audi was in front of me, and I stopped. But I didn't change out. I think it was in third gear or something. And this car you can take down to like 500 RPM and still idle with it, it'll be fine. And then that little jolt that it gave when the engine died, it just pushed me forward and took me in. So a little bit of experience with the guy was fine. He said, don't worry about it. So I'm still good for now.
That's good.
I mean, we're all sitting here, so...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Everyone's still alive.
Fine.
Everybody's still alive.
Important rule.
Okay, Marius, I have a question for you. So... You spoke a bit about like your test drives and like the 911 GT3 RS and such. If you could pick any car and any road, but you should have driven that car, but you didn't. So the road you like
any road.
Yeah, any road, like any road. But you should have driven that car. What road? What car? This is a tricky one.
It has to be a car I've driven.
Okay, so it has to be a car you've driven, but the road you didn't have to have driven on.
Thinking of roads now. I mean, South Africa has so many great mountain passes.
Yeah.
And people don't know about.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know about them.
I mean, okay, the car I'll take is 997 GT3.
Oh, that is a twist.
I didn't expect that.
That is a twist.
Because it's manual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Naturally aspirated rear-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
And Clarence Drive, because it's the closest to my apartment, so I can go there every day.
Nice. Ew. And it's a familiar road. Oh, for me.
Yeah.
Sure. I would. So do you know Meiringspoort?
Mm.
So Top Gear actually,
They closed it down.
Yeah, they closed it down for episode.
Joburg.
But I don't think they launched it. Did they release?
I don't think they ever released that episode.
But yeah, they actually locked down the road, and they went there for episode 1. I don't think they released it when they went. So anyway, okay. So Meiringspoort would be the road. Car. Okay, but I should have driven the car.
No, but I mean anything.
Okay, because the fastest car I've driven is probably like
because we can choose
one of my friends. The quickest.
As long as it's not a Porsche reimagined by Singer.
Oh, that's like my favorite car. That is like my favorite car. But anyway, no. So just to give you some context, the quickest car I've driven is probably between a 2004 C220 or a. My friend has a Hilux Legend 40 that is chipped.
So I was about to say, how Afrikaans guys drive Hiluxes in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, that guy.
If you don't do 160, you're doing it wrong. like
with your arm out the window.
Exactly like that. And everything, a little hat on. So you'll take a Hilux in Meiringspoort.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
No. Probably, I'll definitely not take a Hilux in Meiringspoort.
Take one of these guys. Yes, I saw this morning when I came into town, there was this bright yellow Hilux, single cab. On these, I think like between 17 and 18 inch slicks, and then it was straight prop. So you just hear this coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't scream South Africa, I don't know what does. And these super white, like blue LEDs.
Oh yeah.
That's like the epitome.
It's like
of a Hilux.
The Tokyo underground scene,
exactly,
but like South
African style, doing your Hilux up.
But yeah, I think so Meiringspoort, and then the car would probably be Boxster Spider.
Okay.
Boxster Spider.
Okay.
Just to hear the sound. Like
the 6-cylinder new one.
The new one, specifically. Luke?
I would probably go Franschhoek Pass because I drove it yesterday, and it is just, I mean, how do you beat that? But the car.
You've driven the F-Type?
Yeah, I've driven with an F-Type and the M6 as well over Franschhoek. This is difficult, eh? Anything?
Just say it, Luke.
Anything.
Just say it.
Probably a 488. I'm thinking something like that, yeah.
The Pista or like the GTB?
No, Pista.
Pista.
Mm.
Okay, fair.
Something like that, yeah.
That'll be insane.
I can think that'll be a good thing to go for. Or maybe a Mustang, a GT500, because I'm a sucker for loud engines and just big cars.
Fair.
But I think it would probably do good. I don't know about cornering there. If the road is closed, I don't know if you've seen Ken Block's video when he went over.
Oh yes.
Franschhoek Pass with his pickup with his Hilux. No, I'm joking. It's not a Hilux, but
What does he call it? Not the Uni. Is it? No, it's not the Uni.
No, it's the I can't remember.
It's
anyway,
like the Uni truck. I don't know, something like that.
I think it's time that we talk about a very, very special car that was released.
So not too long ago from when we are recording this podcast, Gordon Murray, the original designer of the McLaren F1 and a few other gems, he actually released I'd say almost production ready, or
I think it's going into production next year.
So I know the press car that they had was engineless because I think they were still testing.
Yeah, it was just the mold, just the body.
Basically.
So, Gordon Murray, he has his own company, Gordon Murray Automotive, and he released the T50, which is basically the
new age
successor of the McLaren F1. I would just like to
with a bit more
read some stats so that you can gain some context as to why this car is so absolutely special, and then Marius can take over because he's also in love with this car. But just some stats. So about 663 horsepower. It weighs 968 kilograms. 986 kilograms. Sub a ton. Cosworth, is it a 3 point? No.
That's a 4.
It's a 3. They rated as 3.9 litre.
It's a 3.9 litre naturally aspirated V12, highest revving production car engine.
It has the quickest response as well.
Yeah, like they explain some facts, but it just boggles my mind. It's a fan car. Yes, it has a fan at the back.
You can do vacuuming in your house, or you keep on going with. I mean, it just sucks up everything from behind. Drive through your house. If I can afford this car, I'll probably build a house that I can drive through the house.
If you can afford 54 million rand, then yes, you can.
You can probably build
before taxes.
It has before taxes
and shipment probably as well.
And it's probably just. Okay, no. I almost made a fool of myself by saying this is a left-hand drive, but it's actually a 3-seater. It has this
the gear lever is sighted
on
to
the right. So technically it is,
but it's fixed to the right. You can't move it.
I believe so.
So this car is.
It's a 6-speed, eh? What is it?
It is a 6-speed manual. So, Gordon Murray said he doesn't like to reveal stats regarding like 0 to 100 or top speed because he knows he's going to be fast, but it's not what the car's about. It's about ultimate driver involvement, analog, like being the most driver-focused car you can get. Like he explained how when some of the people who were testing the car, he told them take off your watch because it actually creates torsion so that you turn the steering wheel like later than you actually should. Like it's all about driver focusedness. He was
react to.
Just that engine alone is an absolute masterpiece.
Heads off to Cosworth for from an idle to max rev, that's what 12,100 RPM.
Yeah, so
in
like
0.3 seconds.
How do you
put that kind of power down
on
the road? I mean, like if you floor it, just like.
But it probably would put the power down on the road. Because I don't know what magic they worked.
Aero system, 6 different modes for the.
And they do have push rod suspension at the back, which is a big improvement on what the McLaren F1 didn't have. So this car in many ways.
Still, even the McLaren F1, no power steering, no ABS, nothing of that, and it still did what?
The McLaren F1, Gordon Murray actually named some stuff that he didn't like about the car, and I was like, how do you not like? How is there something that you don't like on the F1?
I suppose he designed it, so he's the only person that can say.
So he was like, everything that he didn't like is improved and better. Like he made the F1 as it would have been done in 2020 with the available technology and everything. But Marius,
I just want to say as well, like for the fan and stuff. If you look at, I think it's the biggest thing. The first thing he did was with the BT 46, is it?
Yes, the Brabham.
The BT 46 was the first fan. It raced once, it won that race, and then they withdrew it just to keep F1.
Oh, they banned the
pulled all the debris from the track
and chucked it out the fan.
Really?
No, it was a massive innovation, and then they just decided. So it won the first race, he made his points, and then he took it away. So
Marius, please let us share your opinion.
He did a lot for McLaren as well. I
think. He did.
While he was working there, they won 3 consecutive times in the 80s. And with Brabham, I think 2 times. So he's been doing this for 50 plus years.
And he's
I
South
think
African born.
Just over. He is born in South
He's
Africa.
born
We
in
have
South
to
Africa.
point
We can
that
take
out.
that credit.
I
Yeah.
just have to say.
I mean,
He doesn't
although
really.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he's British basically
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but like Roger
Aren't we all?
Federer's grandma, someone who's South African, and Elon Musk, whose
Elon
mom
Musk
was
is-
That's
or
just
father
taking
is
it
South
out of the
African
air.
or
Yeah.
was born in
No,
Pretoria.
really, please. Elon
We-
Musk also.
Yeah, we are claiming it.
Yeah.
We are claiming them
That
as
Gordon
South
Murray is
Africans.
South African.
So,
Yeah.
but it's I mean, his career has been something
Illustrious,
else, and the T50 celebrates 5 decades of his design and all of that, and then it's also, I think it's the 50th car he has spent.
That's
so
actually
all
a lot.
of that,
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, and I mean it's an absolute phenomenal machine. Just to as you said, Martin, the thing about there's no 0 to 100 specs or top speed or anything. I mean, it is going to be a very fast car. Maybe not the fastest in a straight line.
Yeah.
I mean, it may possibly be.
Yeah.
It may possibly be the fastest car from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
I mean, fastest internal combustion car, most likely. But that, as you said, it's not what it's about at all. It's about building what is most likely going to be the last and the greatest analog supercar ever built.
Yeah, V12
I mean, in their
also.
words, as they stated it. And it's truly, I mean, to imagine it's 488 kilowatts in a car that weighs 986 kilograms. Now, it's, imagine, like, for example, the GT3 RS, for example. I mean, that's what I have in my mind at the moment. That weighs 1.45 tons.
Yeah.
That is 380 something kilowatts. So it is 100 more kilowatts, but it weighs 500
more
kilograms less than the GT3 RS. And I mean, it weighs, I think the F1 weighed 1.1 something tons.
also
there.
extremely light.
So
for that time it was ridiculous.
And in an interview I read with Gordon Murray, when he was thinking of building this car, he said the one thing he will give up was the manual. I think he said he will.
That's interesting.
He might. The one thing he will go for, if not a manual, if he can't get a manual, is I think a dual clutch box. And the people that want the car, I mean, if they are so endowed to spend 54 million rand, the 100 that will get one, they said no, we wanted manual. And as you said, that Cosworth developed V12 is, I mean, the 488 kilowatts coming in from 11,500 revs, revving to 12,100.
Yeah,
it's the sound of that thing is going to be phenomenal. I mean, and it's not necessarily going to be deafening because the interior is fairly well equipped. It's comfortable.
It is quite luxurious.
It's usable. The tires isn't these bespoke items that was found on the F1. So it's. I mean, it's still fairly bespoke. It's made for the car, but it's easier. To get.
He
It's
said
not as expensive.
if someone buys it and uses it on the daily, it's easier to get these tires than what they suggested he put on the car. It was a lot difficult to get. Was the Cup 2, I think. I can't remember what tires it was, but he said they just swapped it out for something that's a bit more sensible.
Oh, the Pilot Sport Cup 2s.
So that everyone can get it, because I mean, you won't be. Maybe you need to ship them from Europe or something, and then what's the point of having the car? Because you'll never drive it then.
And it has like 288 liters of luggage space, which is ample.
That's a lot for a car.
And it's a small car, really. I mean, I think it has a smaller. It has a
footprint, like a Cayman
more or less like a Cayman.
Oh.
And I mean, there's 3 seats, and then what I do love about it. I mean, yes, it is very driver focused and everything, and I do like that the middle seat is this bright orange, contrasting with the more dark grey side seats on the side.
Guitar
But
and everything inside.
there's no touch screens, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
The screens are even, the graphics are only in black and white.
And it's also just your phone that's connected.
Yes,
No software
and
to be outdated.
there's buttons, aerospace grade, like materials, whatever. And
That's
it
it.
will...
It's basic. It's to get you on the road. You can see enough what you need to see, and that's it. And I think the other thing is about the dual clutch would be if it might add a bit of weight, because he says he had these 6-hour weight savers meetings with his teams, but it's not dieting.
That should
it's
have
about
been
taking the car away.
Yes.
Because an interesting thing that I read as well is the integrated starter generator that he adds. So it replaces the starter and the alternator and just saves a bit of weight. Where they could, it was in the old F1 where the aircon was a bit of a problem for them because it took a lot of weight. So now he's running the aircon of the ISG, 48 volt thing for that, and it saves him so much weight. So now you still have the aircon for that car.
It's the same 48 volt system powering the 400 millimeter fan at the back.
Yeah, exactly. So they say he said it's not a hybrid thing, but he has this little thing.
Just for the fan.
I mean, it's powering the aero.
Yeah, the aero. It's
so
not giving anything
like
to
it's
the power.
48
Yeah.
volt.
It's still an
it's
actually
powering the
aspirator.
engine or anything like
I don't know
that.
what 48 volts would do to the engine anyway, but yeah.
So
That car's ground effect and aerodynamics is like
It is
something to
insane.
marvel about.
I mean,
just one fact about the fan also, the efflux of the fan, so like the air that comes out, actually lengthens the wheelbase by virtually 1 meter. So, which is basically you more stable at high speeds. And I'm like, how do you even do that?
it basically, when that mode is activated, extends the car to virtually be a long tail.
Yeah.
So
Yes, that's
an
special.
absolute.
Clarence Speedtail anyone?
Yes, like. But now we are going to our favorite segment. Our
Okay.
last segment. It's called the PT Cruiser segment. Now, Marius, how the PT Cruiser segment came to be, we were chatting about PT Cruisers, and we were trying to argue what's better, the cabriolet or the hardtop.
We thought the hardtop because you don't want to be seen driven in one.
Yeah.
That's
So
probably
rather
the best
just
option.
enclose and tint your windows.
Yeah, tint your
Yeah.
windows.
My sister had a Barbie car. For her Barbies of a
And that was-
PT Cruiser cabriolet.
I
Anyway.
actually saw one the other day as well in like this hectic blue with like chrome rims. It looks bad.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry,
ugly.
people. If you own a PT Cruiser, my prayers are with you.
Yeah. So
Like, really, it's
how the PT Cruiser segment works. So this may or may not have been adapted from a segment on a previous,
a show in
British
the
car
UK,
show.
a British
Yeah.
car show.
So-
So it might or might not have.
Yeah. That's
We
why
can't say we're not allowed to name them because
So what we're doing is,
about it.
I
future.
will explain a car, you will explain a car, then we will all rate what we feel about the car. So it's either cool, dead average, or PT Cruiser.
Okay.
So PT Cruiser being very
PT Cruiser
uncool.
being yeah.
So I'll start off with my car. And he mentioned this earlier, but the Mustang GT500. So I'm talking about the. Do you want one?
No.
Oh.
Continue.
Oh,
I
so
just voted already. That's all.
I'm talking about the new one. So it actually, the engine isn't flat plane crank anymore. It's now cross plane, just to house more torque.
More power,
Since
baby.
it also has a supercharger with. This car is probably the most European Mustang you'll ever find because it's just a bit more sophisticated. Like it actually will do corners on tracks. It won't be the quickest thing, like they say.
It won't take out crowds at car shows anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I don't know. Okay,
Mustang drivers.
maybe. Mustang drivers.
Um, But yeah, it has something like 230 horsepower, which I can't convert to kilowatts. Probably like 140 or something, 140 kilowatts more power than the GT350 because of the supercharger that was added. So it's a lot. And yeah, it makes a very childish, obnoxious noise, which would be very nice to listen to. Very loud also. But they say it can go around corners, something like a sub 11 second quarter mile. So it's not the quickest thing in terms of, like, I think the Hellcat Red Eye will probably still beat it to the line.
Yeah,
But yeah, Marius, what is your opinion on this car? Do you know anything about it? What do you think of the GT500?
I won't necessarily want one
Okay.
for myself. I do love Mustangs. I think it's very special cars. And as a result of that, I'll say it's cool.
Okay.
I mean, it just looks cool. The amount of looks you get from people while driving a Mustang is something else, especially if it's, I mean, spec'd nicely and all of that. So I'll say it's cool, Carl.
Yeah.
Your opinions?
I'd say cool, but I won't buy one. I'm not a fan
No,
of.
you saw my thumbs up in the beginning.
Okay,
All
so
for this.
you're taking one. Are
I
you
mean,
buying?
When I buy the car, I'll have them delivered on like a truck, and then I'll put a tank of petrol at the back of the truck that can be dropped off at the house as well.
Yeah.
So every now and again you can just fill up.
I'll just
And
use the boot
just
for.
put a tow bar at the back, so you can pull a trailer full of fuel. wherever
Or
you
just
go.
use the boot for auxiliary fuel tank.
Exactly. You just put another fuel tank in
Yeah.
and weigh the car down with
Because
500
that
kgs or
downs
whatever.
petrol with 2 straws.
Yeah, no, it's it's not.
Okay.
But this car that I'm talking about is
this
very,
car is very
Okay,
special.
so sorry, we all agree.
I'm cool.
This is
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely cool.
fantastic.
Okay.
So, for your ultimate 4x4 experience, guys, Fiat
And
Panda
Marius, this one is
4x4.
special.
The Fiat,
Fiat Panda 4x4.
So 2 engines. I don't know. This sounds weird. It's a 0.9 liter petrol engine. but
Yes.
like 900 milliliters anyway. It's turbocharged and it produces 84 horsepower and 145 newton meters of torque.
That is more than enough power.
That's more than enough power.
I
if you
would
take into
totally
your
agree.
I mean, you're not gonna go flipping
Yeah.
drive up a mountain where a Jeep goes or whatever. It's not a Jeep. I mean,
Maybe
it's a
not-
city car that you can
Yeah.
probably park on someone's lawn that's at a bit of an incline. And then another engine is so it's 2 engines. It's a petrol and the diesel. The diesel is a 1.3 liter, 74 horsepower, so it's less, but it
Yeah.
uses common rail fuel injection.
How does that work?
It basically feeds fuel directly into the engine at 2,000 bars.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. It's very difficult to find any stats about this car because they're extremely secretive about it. Anyway,
It's just so rare, you know. It's a collector's item.
interesting thing, a collector's item, exactly. I mean, it's been around for so long. I think this is 3rd or 4th generation now or something. Anyway,
And we've been talking about the T50. Why
are we talking
about the Fiat Panda?
Anyway, last interesting thing about this car before you rate it, the 4x4 system. It works with a viscous diff.
Not discus, viscous.
Viscous. So
Yeah.
it's a viscous liquid that it's housed in. It's oil. And what happens is, as far as I can understand it, and I had to actually go look on like forums of people telling you how these things work, because Fiat doesn't tell you anything. It's probably because they bought it and then it's not their own design. But anyway, what happens is as the wheels start slipping, the whole diff heats up and it starts locking.
Yeah.
So you start getting power. Let's say it's 80-20, and as it heats up, it goes 70-30, 60-40, and eventually you end up with 50-50. And then as you go up a hill and your one wheel starts slipping, the car picks it up and it brakes.
Yeah.
So technically it's traction control, but not entirely, because as it brakes, then it sends the other power to the wheel. So in a way, it has a bit of traction control built into it, but it's all
Fiat
mechanical. It's
Panda.
got nothing.
What an engineering marvel.
What an engineering marvel. Anyway, so
Okay, let's write it.
yeah. Marius, you're the
PT Cruiser.
I'm not. The thing is, I don't know the car that well.
He's stunned. He doesn't know what to say.
I haven't driven one.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture of it?
I can get you a picture. Just give me a
I
second.
just want to shout. Look, it's. I don't think I'm very much between average and PT Cruiser,
Yeah,
but
no, it's dead
I want to
average.
give it the benefit of the doubt, though.
I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
that face says a lot.
PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser. So
Yeah,
you
I've
PT
been
Cruiser.
voted out. I
And you have
said,
a dead
I mean, that
average.
is
I said dead
completely
average.
The Fiat Panda
subjective.
even has some hope.
So subjective.
I mean,
Okay.
it's got a little button that you can press for the traction control even.
Okay, whoa.
Whoa, that changes things
Screw that.
immediately.
No, okay, Peter Cruiser. We're happy with Peter Cruiser.
Anyway, that concludes our 4th episode. We want to thank you for watching through all the technical difficulties we've made it through. Marius, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for
It
having
was
me.
really been a pleasure having you
It's
here.
like a.
He wasn't just a guest, he was also part of the conversation, and that's what we would want to do.
Mm.
So yeah, we will see you next week. As I said, you can get us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, follow us there. Every Thursday we will release our podcast on YouTube and
All the other platforms.
all the other platforms,
that we need.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. But yeah, otherwise, have a good week. If you'd like to review or like or share this podcast, that would mean a lot to us.
Constructive criticism is always
and
good.
we will let you know when Luke's beard oil is available.
Yeah,
all right.
I just have to wait for my brother to start servicing his Land Rover again, and then we'll get some oil from that.
Okay.
And I think for next time, we'll arrange the wine tasting.
We'll see.
We can do like carb cleaner, diesel oil, and
Merlot.
Merlot, exactly.
Okay.
Do a pairing with that.
But thank you very much, people.
Yeah,
We do appreciate it. Have a good
See
one.
you next week.
Okay, cheers.